Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Catherine Gallagher, CMG Talk, depending on where you are joining me from today. And thank you for joining me again. I am so looking forward to talking with you. Or if this is the first time that you have popped on to listen to CMG Talk, welcome. Today, this is all about, as always, mental health. And I wonder how things are for you right now. I've been receiving correspondence and I'm getting quite a few correspondence to me through the podcasts that I've been doing. Now, I've been doing podcasts for many years. On Spreaker, I just started dropping some podcasts on. And many people may be aware that I've been working with mental health for nearly 25 years. So I've been on and around mental health for quite a substantial period of time. And I'm known as a trainer, a public speaker, and I'm known to work with helping people to live with and be their best around, particularly when they've had a challenging time. And at this time of year, there can be times, situations that happen, and often the least expected situations can happen, can't they? And if you think about some of the situations that can happen, whether it is a circumstance that we least expect, it might be that things haven't necessarily worked out quite how we expected them to over this celebratory time. It might be that we didn't quite find that the days worked out as we expected. Maybe they worked out better than we expected, and that's fantastic. We might have had a wonderful surprise, or we might have had times where things have just been exceptionally difficult, challenging, or maybe just downright very precarious or dangerous, depending on our circumstances. Because we know that not everything is positive during a celebration for people. I don't want to take away from those times where celebrations are wonderful and amazing for people, because they can be, of course. But not everybody celebrates during festive times. Sometimes people are facing difficult and hard times and hardships. It could be financially. It might be that they have health struggles. It might also be that they have had a breakup of a relationship. Someone said to me the other day, who breaks up with someone over Christmas? Well, people do. I hear about it all the time. People come to me in my clinical practice and they'll say to me, they broke up with me. We have fallouts, fall-ins, we have celebrations, we have engagements, we have marriages, we have divorces or announcements of divorces. We can have lots of different events that happen. And obviously we still have COVID that's going on at the moment. We don't necessarily talk about it right now, do we? But that can happen still too. Right? People are getting flus. People are not feeling great at times as well, depending on psychologically how they're feeling. People have felt isolated. People have felt really loved and felt very joyful. People have had the best years ever with money, and people have had the worst circumstances ever. People have celebrated, even although they might not necessarily have had the best times, they've made the best times with the people that they have around them. People have pulled together. People have pulled apart. What's it been like for you? I'd like to tell you a story. Someone reached out to me and they've asked me to keep them and their identity private. So I'm going to do so. And they asked me to talk about this, which is why I've come on, amongst others, to reach out to you. And they were talking about how out of a terrible situation, it can actually allow us to face up to how something really is. Because often we do prolong circumstances, don't we? We don't necessarily want change. A lot of us don't like change. A lot of us like to keep things as they are. And I got a correspondence just recently, not so long ago, from someone who was telling me that they had wanted to keep everything going the way they were over this festive time for the sake of people around them. You can understand that, can't you? However, other people were saying, is it not better to rip off the plaster? Is it not better just to have things as they are? Why fake it? Why not just be real? And they had said, well, I just feel it's best just this year just to have everything as they are. Create some sense of normality. However, life happens. There we go. I've said it. Everybody says, you always say that. You always say that. It's true though, doesn't it? Life happens. And they said that to me. When you said that in a podcast, I heard you say, Catherine, life happens. And I've heard you saying about being our own best champion and working on our internal voice and trying to make things, working on those automatic negative thoughts and trying to make things as, the best we can be. It's not about ignoring or denying or that, bad things can happen, but it's what we do with them that matters. But life happens. And I was doing everything with the best I could to keep things on track, and then life happened. And I couldn't anymore. And everything came to the head. Everything came to a head, and I had to just face it. And I had to say to people, I just had to say, this is how things are. This is what's happened. This is how things are. And their biggest fear, they said, was that they would be judged. Their biggest fear was that people would take sides and they would be the one that would be out in the cold. And often when we have circumstances that happen, and invariably people say this, don't they? It's usually the people we least expect are the people that rally around us, the people that step up for us, the people that are there. And often it's the people we least expect. Isn't that just true? We don't expect certain people to suddenly be there for us. And there was this compassion and this kindness and this caring. And they had people who did run to the hills, people that didn't feel they could be there for them, and said, well, I feel as if I have to, step away, or I feel I can't get involved, or I feel that I need to be there for other people. I don't feel I can be there for you. Right? I don't want to get involved. And they felt that they lost people. But they said they thought about it. And the realization was that as much as people left their lives, they gained the people that were really true people that were going to stay in their lives. They felt then, by looking at it differently, that they'd actually gained true connections. Do you see where I'm going with this? When life happens, it often brings us a true authenticness in our life. We often see things as they really are. When we try to hold on to something or keep something going that really has run its course, really it's not working anymore, and it's actually a detriment to ourselves. And whether it's an employment situation, a job, or whether it's a relationship situation which is actually unhealthy or toxic or even harmful, we're keeping it going because the thought of starting over, the thought of having to put yourself out there, the thought of change. Because what we do is we have those limiting self beliefs, the doubts, the catastrophizing, the overthinking, the dwelling on things. But often we're holding on to something that already has left us, that's no longer the same anyway. When I got that letter, you know, I thought, okay, I felt a lot of compassion. Let's come back in a moment. So, as we're coming up to 2023, and as we're starting to review our life and looking at our life and looking at things that we might want to change, move forward, and I'm not suggesting that you leave relationships or you leave your job or anything like that, but I guess we have to be real and authentic in our life, because if we're aiming to be, which is actually what we believe we want to be, surely is the best version of our life, living our life to the fullest. If we're unhappy with something or unhappy in our work or our life with certain aspects of our life, do we not deserve to make the difference in the changes? And that often means challenging those circumstances, challenging what's going on. Of course, if a relationship isn't working, it's very possible to make that relationship work if both parties are prepared to put the work in, the effort in, and make the change. You don't have to end a relationship to resolve a relationship that's not working. Of course not, right? We can make a relationship better, but both parties need to be able to understand the issues, take ownership, responsibility, and be prepared to do their parts. Equally, if you're in a job, you don't have to leave employment. You can look to find ways of challenging yourself, of growing within a company and growing within a particular work. But it's what we do with it that matters. It's what we do within ourselves that matters. Would you agree? Keep the correspondence coming to me, because there are lots of topics that are coming to me, and a lot of them, are all about different circumstances. There's a theme to do with relationships, to do with challenges that are coming on in life, and I'm really looking forward. And as I say, I can keep you confidential. I'm quite happy to give you a shout out. So it's stepupcmg@xln.co.uk, and let's get talking. Thanks very much for joining me. This is Catherine Gallica. This is CMG Talk, and let's talk soon. Thanks for talking.